Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is u/what is happening. Posted November 24th, 2015. Really weird things are happening to me, 22 female. Not sure if it's an elaborate prank or if I'm seriously mentally ill. Okay. I've never, ever felt the need to post here, but I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't even know where to start, my mind is so jumbled. I guess it started 2 weeks ago at work. I work in a factory, but I don't do the labor. I'm more of a spreadsheet maker / book balancer / secretary type thing. Really informal, but it's my uncle's company and I needed a job, yada yada, good pay. I was sitting at my desk with nothing to do, and I hear my boss, not my uncle, just another coworker and a friend of his, go, "Phil sighs" as he looks at the weather. I look up like, huh? And he looks at me like, huh? He didn't say anything. I was like, that's weird, but oh well, anyway. And then the next day, I was talking to some coworkers on the floor asking them work stuff, and one of them called me a bitch. But when I called him out, him and everyone else looked at me like I was insane. I apologized and we all laughed it off. Factory is loud, right? People mishear things all the time. Except I was at Walmart, I know, class, and one of the workers there was putting away stock, and I swear to God, he looked straight at me and said, "The chicken was just killed." I asked him what he meant, and I felt so bad because he looked so confused and like I was crazy. He hadn't even opened his mouth apparently. Shit like this has been happening so much. My friend even pulled me aside to ask if I was feeling okay. Small things are happening too. My boyfriend says he's making salmon for dinner. I hear him preparing salmon. I smell salmon. Then he brings it out and it's lasagna. I asked him where the salmon was, and he was like, "What? I said lasagna tonight," and brushed it off like I'm being silly. I could have sworn this one shirt I owned was green and not teal. Shit is changing and people are saying stuff, but they're not. People are narrating their lives sometimes. There is no way my friends could be pranking me, not when random people on the street are doing this too. I'm so scared. I don't want to be thrown in a mental hospital. I'm not trying to offend mentally ill people. I'm so scared. I feel like my mind is slowly melting. Too long didn't read. People keep saying things they aren't actually saying, and I think I'm going insane. Relevant comments. Grassmat. You should go to the doctor, not just because there might be a physical or mental issue going on that needs to be addressed, but also so you can get an answer of what is going on. Don't keep yourself in limbo. That will drive you insane. Doctors aren't your enemy. And even if there's a mental issue going on, that doesn't automatically mean you get thrown into a mental hospital just like that. You've probably been around more people with mental disorders than you realize, and the vast majority of them can live a relatively normal life and live independently with some medical and/or psychiatric help. Go to the doctor. They're the professionals here. OP responds, "Thank you. I'm in Canada, and I made an appointment with my doctor. It'll be a week before I see her, though. I can't believe how much this blew up. It happened again last night. Boyfriend said he was going to the bar. I shower and come out and ask why he's still here. Because I live here? I thought you were going to the bar. No. Maybe I'll go to the ER if it keeps happening." Cyan Pineapple responds, "Not to terrify OP, but this happened to my mother as well, and it was a brain tumor for her. This seriously calls for a doctor as soon as possible." Raw Revenger comments, "Yep, sounds pretty similar to a friend. Go get it checked. It's scary, but my friend, she's doing a whole lot better now. Smiley face." Update, November 29th, 2015, 5 days later. Wow. I never could have ever, in my wildest imagination, that my last post would get this much attention. I was on my boyfriend's Reddit account on his phone and actually saw my own post near the first page. I was floored. Then he saw that I was looking at it and we had a pretty awkward conversation. Basically asked me why I posted something like that. He'd read it, but only when he saw me on the page it clicked that he saw the same username on my laptop on Reddit. He never imagined it was me. I did change some details about my life in the last post. So we talked for a long time, and finally he said that he was taking me to emergency. I didn't want to go, I just wanted to wait for my appointment. Not because I didn't think it was serious, but because I had no clue how to explain what was happening to the doctors and nurses, especially for it to warrant an emergency visit. So we went, and he was very understanding, just asked me how much I remembered from the past couple of days, stuff he said and stuff I'd apparently heard. We were both scared, haha. I got to emergency, very slow. I live in a smallish town, but we have a giant hospital for some reason. We're close to a lot of other towns and they use our hospital, close to Toronto too. Anyway, it was slow, just one father and a sick child. I went in and basically had to explain what was happening, and honestly, the nurses were like, "What the fuck? This bitch is crazy." But when I saw a doctor, he took me very, very seriously. It was very nice. He wrote down basically everything I said. I got some x-rays and they asked me questions, the whole spiel. Anyway, the point of this update was to tell you guys that I have a tumor. That's really scary writing out, but I have a tumor. In my brain. It hasn't sunken in yet that tomorrow my brain is going to be under the knife. I don't want to share more because I've gotten a lot of messages from people who were like, guessing my name and where I'm from. Apparently, I remind people of their crazy friends or crazy exes. I'm scared to miss work, but my boss was more than understanding. He sort of looked at me like I was insane when I asked how long I should be out of work. I don't know. I need to pay rent. We'll figure it out. Thank you all for your love and support. I'll update whenever I remember to. I am scared, but alive. Too long didn't read. I have a tumor and I'm getting surgery. Thanks. Update. April 18th, 2025. 10 years later. Am I allowed to make an update here? I don't use social media much anymore and Reddit looks completely different than the last time I logged in. My friend sent me this basically immediately after it was posted, asking if it was me. It was so long ago. I kind of cringe seeing how I wrote, but I'll give myself some slack because I was young and going through a terrible time. That boyfriend didn't last long. He bailed when he found out how long my recovery would be and what it entailed. I moved back in with my family, who are all nurses and caregivers, so it was really the smoothest recovery I could have had. I did years of therapy, both physical and mental. I did eventually end up losing my factory job, but that honestly wasn't their fault. Admittedly, I no-showed to work a lot and was spiraling for a few years, but I eventually landed on my feet, found my dream man, lumberjack type, sorry for being a Canadian stereotype, and his mother had gone through almost the same thing I did when she was younger, so we really bonded over that. I won't say I'm having a perfect time. Life is life. I'm child-free, have a job I tolerate, have money to spend on my friends and family, and am generally very happy. I keep off social media because I already survived a brain tumor. I'm not looking for more. Smiley face. And for the Americans who are going to ask, yes, it was free. Honestly, this is probably a nightmare scenario for me, is to feel like I'm slowly going crazy and not have any kind of answer for it, especially being an American where there are plenty of horror stories of like just doctor's visits gone awry and ending up not getting the solution you're looking for or any kind of progress towards finding out what the hell is going on, but certainly they have no problem with taking medical bill after medical bill after medical bill. So that's a massive fear of mine, of having something going wrong with my brain and just unable to get any answers for it. Although, please don't let my fears, prevent you from going to see a doctor, because just because there are horror stories out there of, bad experiences doesn't mean that's the norm. And on a second note, perhaps maybe by me covering the story, there might be a few of you who have realized that, they might have some symptoms that they gotta go to the doctor to get checked on. While rare, you never know. But hey, at least at minimum now, if something does begin to go wrong and the symptoms match, you now know not to ignore that and go right to the ER, because it could be a lot worse than just your friends pulling a very elaborate prank on you. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." Posted by Initial Example 4440 on April 1st, 2025. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend my dog comes before him? I, 23 female, and my boyfriend, 25 male, have been together for 2.5 years. We met on Hygh and instantly connected and have been inseparable since. When we first started dating, I told him that I have a dog. His name is Theo. I got him in 2020 when he was a puppy. Theo is 4 now. My boyfriend is allergic to animal fur. When we first started talking/dating, I asked if it would be an issue. He said no. He has family members that he visits on holidays who have pets, so he just takes an over-the-counter allergy med and that seems to do the trick for him. So whenever he would come over to my place, he would take his allergy med, he wouldn't interact with Theo much, like petting him, playing with him, and letting him be near him much in general. I would also make sure Theo would leave my boyfriend alone and give the space that he needs so he doesn't have a bad reaction even with the allergy med. I would also make sure to clean the house to limit the amount of dog fur around before he would come over. Everything was perfect, and we had a good system. If I would go over to his place, I would make sure to put on clothes that were clean and had no dog fur on them, so I wouldn't be leaving/tracking it into his house. About 6 months ago, my boyfriend and I decided to get our own place together, so we rented a condo that was pet-friendly, because wherever I go, Theo comes with me. My boyfriend and I thoroughly communicated about what that would look like with his allergy. One being that he should get an allergy medication from his doctor rather than an over-the-counter med, so that it would be stronger and help him out more. Our condo has 2 stories, so we put a dog gate up so Theo doesn't have access to the upstairs where our bedroom and bathroom are. I also vacuum every other day to limit the amount of fur and keep it controlled. I also give Theo baths about once every week and a half and brush him nearly every day. So far, for the past 6 months, this has really worked. We have this system so Theo can have access to the entire main floor and he's not just cooped up in a cage or a separate room all the time. I know I do a lot of work to keep my boyfriend's allergies down, but he helps out around the condo a lot too. Household chores-wise, we have things pretty balanced. But recently, for the past month, my boyfriend has brought up multiple times that he doesn't know how much longer he can handle having Theo here. Yes, we have a good system, and yes, his allergy medication works well, which I bring up every time he mentions it. I try to understand what issues he is having, and all he says is that he doesn't like having to constantly be worried about his allergies and Theo being around. He has expressed to me that he feels trapped in his own house having to constantly worry. I try seeing his side of it all, but I also mentioned to him that from the beginning, he knew that Theo and I are a package deal, that we would have to work through this together. Everything seemed to be perfect till, out of the blue, my boyfriend seemed to completely flip on things. He does love Theo, and loves going on walks with him and interacting with him for just a few minutes before he has to stop, and he has expressed this. We've had this conversation multiple times, and it always comes to the conclusion of both of us not really seeing eye to eye. It got to a point where he would get home from work, we would eat dinner, then he goes right upstairs to get away from Theo. He seemed to form a hatred towards him. Now, when I try to have a conversation with him about it, he just shuts it down and won't talk to me about it. 2 weeks ago, when he got home from work, I had dinner ready, and he didn't even say hi to me or eat, just went right upstairs. Again, when I tried to talk to him, he shut me down. About a week ago, that's when things took a turn for the worst. My boyfriend said that one of his friends, Mike, and his girlfriend, Sarah, would be coming over for dinner and to hang out last weekend. I work from home, so I was able to spend the afternoon cleaning the condo, cooking appetizers in the meal, and preparing some mixed drinks. I was excited to see them because I haven't seen Mike in a while and I haven't met Sarah yet. Usually, when we have guests over, I will put Theo in a separate room so he's not in the way and disturbs our guests too much. But my boyfriend told me I don't have to do that for them. They love dogs. When Mike and Sarah come over, I instantly noticed the vibes are a little off. They seem to be paying more attention to Theo and want to get to know Theo more than spend time with my boyfriend and I. We eat dinner, we talk, hang out, and have a nice time. Once dinner is over, I start cleaning up and Sarah offers to help me while the guys grab a beer and go sit on the couch. Sarah and I get to chatting and I tell her how much I love her presence and her and Mike seem like an amazing couple. She then replies with, "Yeah, we've been taking some big steps together. We're getting an apartment and Theo seems like he would fit well into our lives. He really is a great dog." I'm taken aback and excuse myself and ask my boyfriend if we could talk. Him and I go upstairs and I tell him what Sarah said to me. He admits he invited the 2 of them over so they could possibly adopt Theo. He did this all behind my back and I had no idea this was his intention. I instantly snap at him and yell, "Theo comes before you. He is my priority. I take care of him in the house to help you. If you can't be grateful for that effort, I don't know if I can continue with you. He comes before you. I then go downstairs and ask Mike and Sarah to leave. I'm enraged. I then pack a bag for Theo and I, and we're now staying at my parents' until further notice. I don't know if I can forgive my boyfriend for this. I can't trust him to be alone with Theo anymore. My boyfriend has been texting and calling me asking if we can talk this out, but I'm just too mad to say anything to him. Is it worth flushing 2.5 years down the drain because he tried to sell my dog? So, am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend my dog comes before him? Relevant comments. Kyokoi. Your dog will accidentally get out, and if you find them, they'll be 3 towns over. He's already emotionally manipulating you by stonewalling and withholding attention, but this is a major violation of trust and autonomy. I also would have confronted him in front of the friends so they knew what kind of person he was. There is no going back if you love your dog. OP responds, I texted Mike. I don't have Sarah's number and told him everything. Once he knew, he turned on my boyfriend saying they couldn't be friends anymore and that he feels disgusted being put in a position like that. Both Mike and Sarah have been amazing supportive friends. The 3 of us are planning to get lunch next week to talk things through more, so then that way, all 3 of us know everything my boyfriend tried to put us through. They really are amazing people. OP on if they discussed long-term plans before concerning Theo. When we discussed getting a place together, we talked about what that would look like and what I can do to help his allergies. He was 100% on board to live together even with his allergies and how he could struggle with that. OP expressing their history with Theo. Theo and I have been together through thick and thin. When I was struggling to find a job and being able to afford things for myself and him were difficult, I still made it work. I would donate plasma to be able to afford the bare minimum for both of us. I would never give up Theo for any reason. We'll always find a way to figure things out for us. My boyfriend and I are for sure done. He can't take back what he did. I appreciate your support. Update, April 11th, 2025, 10 days later. I just wanted to start out this post by saying thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. You all really helped me out and put things into perspective for me. Felt like I was able to sort out my thoughts more. Okay, so update time. My boyfriend and I are no longer together. He broke my trust and betrayed me and can never recover from that. I want to clarify a few things I got comments on in my original post. Yes, my ex did have allergies. I went to a few of his doctor's appointments so I could ask his doctor on other ways I could help stop his allergies from getting heightened at home. I would also sometimes pick up his prescription for him at the pharmacy. Both his doctor and I recommended he goes to see an allergist for possibly better medication and allergy shots, but he said that the medication he had was working enough, so that's on him. One other thing, my boyfriend was 100% on board with moving in together. We communicated about everything and what it would look like living with Theo. I also did my best to accommodate for both Theo and my ex. Wanted everyone to be happy. Now, on to the big stuff. The night I left and packed a bag for both Theo and I to stay at my parents', my ex called and texted me all night long, asking to talk and sort everything out together. I ignored him. I wasn't in the headspace to talk. Plus, where was all this wanting to talk and communication when he started having issues living with Theo? A few days later, my parents and I went to go get the rest of my things from the condo while he was at work so there would be no confrontation with him. I wasn't ready for that. Side note, my parents are letting Theo and I stay with them until I'm able to get back on my feet and find my own place. I'm very thankful for that. I haven't blocked my ex yet because I'm working on breaking myself out of the lease, so I still need to be in some contact with him for that to work it out. I'm willing to pay whatever fees I need to for that. Every time I have had to contact him for breaking the lease, he had asked me if we could talk. I tell him no, every time, because I honestly don't want to hear what he has to say or whatever excuses he tries to give. He crossed a huge line. Now on to Mike and Sarah. I just want to say they are both amazing people. The night they both came over, they had no idea what they were getting into. They both were under the assumption I was on board with rehoming Theo, because that's what my ex told them. After I asked them to leave and I left as well, I texted Mike letting him know what had happened. I also didn't have Sarah's number at the time because This was my first time meeting her. Mike then texted my ex that night, going off on him, saying they could no longer be friends. Mike and Sarah had been dating for 8 months before I met her. I have known Mike since high school. We weren't really friends or that close, but I knew him enough to know that he is a very good person. My ex and Mike were friends from college. My ex didn't go to the same school as us growing up, so occasionally, my ex, Mike, and I would all go out together, or he would come over for a boys' night. Mike had already met Theo from coming over occasionally, so that's probably why my ex contacted Mike about adopting Theo. Mike, Sarah, and I went to dinner Wednesday night to talk everything over and to be on the same page. They explained to me that they both thought I was okay with rehoming Theo because of what my ex said to them. My ex told them that I was getting rid of Theo to help out my ex with his allergies because they were too much to deal with, and that we would be more comfortable giving Theo to people we know and trust. I was shocked to say the least hearing all of this. They also explained that they both felt disgusted being put into a situation like that, and also feeling completely betrayed by my ex and the manipulation he put us all through. They both have turned into some pretty amazing friends, and they both told me they have my back no matter what. I think the three of us hanging out will turn into a regular thing. I was planning to post the update last night after I got home from dinner, but can you guess who showed up at my parents' house last night? You guessed it, my ex. He knocked on the door and my dad answered. My ex asked if I was available to talk, so my dad asked if I wanted to talk to him or if he should tell him off. I decided it was probably time to at least hear him out, even though I was still standing my ground. He apologized and said he made a huge mistake. He didn't think I would have left. I asked him, "What did you expect? You went behind my back to try and get rid of my family. You manipulated everyone in that situation. I wouldn't be able to ever trust you again. You deserved what came to you from this, losing your friends and me. Your mask slipped, and you showed me who you truly are. If you would have actually communicated how you were feeling with me, things could have been different. We might have broken up, but at least it would have been a conversation, instead of this. How can I trust you won't try to get rid of Theo again, or manipulate me again, or try to control even bigger things that could come? You should be sorry to me, Mike, and Sarah, but most importantly, you should feel sorry to yourself because you fucked up big time. I'm done with this conversation. You can leave now." He then asked me if he could see Theo. I laughed in his face and closed the door. I do believe he cared about me up until he decided to make this decision, but he just gave up, and that's on him. I've learned a huge lesson here, and even more red flags to pay attention to. I have promised both Theo and I that I will never put us in a situation like that again. Pet allergies will be an instant no. Theo has gotten all the love he deserves since moving back home with my parents. He's definitely a spoiled boy. I feel bad putting him in a situation like this. That situation sucked, but I'm glad it panned out the way it did, and I was able to intervene before something horrible happened. I want to say thank you again to everyone for the support. I really love the Reddit community. Some people were asking to see pictures of Theo. Here's a link to see a few pictures. Theo! Alright, I'm jumping right into a tinfoil hat theory here. I think the boyfriend only agreed to move in with OP here because he fully intended and or anticipated that he could eventually get OP to part with Theo and they would just live a happy life in the condo together and there wouldn't be any problems. But as time went on and as he realized it was going to be more and more difficult to separate Theo and OP, he opted for more drastic solutions, opting to get Mike and Sarah to, rehome Theo. So that way, when it's then brought to the table of, oh, Mike and Sarah are willing to rehome Theo so that way we can live a nice, happy life together where my allergies won't be bugging me, and you won't need to worry because Theo will be in a happy, healthy home. Something tells me that was his game plan. Like, that's just the general vibe I get from why or how I could even think of how he came to the logic that he had to attempt to justify this kind of plan. Because it's gross, it's revolting. He and OP took the time to discuss what a future living together would look like. OP put a lot of effort into trying to keep the house as allergen-free as she realistically could. On top of that, assisted her boyfriend in going to doctor's appointments or anything she could to try and aid with lessening the allergies as much as possible. And the boyfriend agreed to that. He agreed to live this kind of life in the condo. knowing that Theo and his girlfriend were a package deal. He tried to call her bluff, and he found out the hard way that it was not a bluff. There's also the fact that we don't know how long they were living in the condo together or how long the boyfriend was essentially kind of pulling the behavior he was. Because I'm genuinely curious how long he was pulling the silent treatment with his girlfriend for. Like, don't do that shit. If you're having an issue with your partner where you would rather just avoid them or ignore them or anything along those lines, don't just leave them in the dark and continue giving them the silent treatment. Communicate with them. If you're not ready to fully address the issue at hand, just let them know that you're working through some things and you'll eventually be ready to talk when you're ready. But for now, you need your space. At least let them know what's going on so they're not left in the dark and confused, but that's what the boyfriend did. He was harboring resentment for Theo, and that resentment ended up crossing over to becoming, well, placed onto his girlfriend. And his solution? Not communicating. Oh no. Instead, it was manipulating two of their friends into thinking they were coming over to potentially rehome Theo behind his girlfriend's back, which they had no idea was behind her back. And honestly, thank God they responded appropriately, because that's how I would hope that someone would respond if they found out, hey, my boyfriend's going behind my back and trying to rehome my dog, and you guys were his unwitting pawns. And like, not to mention, it's incredibly difficult to even attempt to play devil's advocate for the boyfriend here, because both of them communicated and mutually agreed to the terms of moving into the condo together. And then on top of that, when the terms did not go the way he was expecting, rather than having a conversation and working things out with his girlfriend, instead he went for the nuclear option and got a pretty harsh reality check. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.